I knew it was fun, and so at the last minute I realized that I could probably spare the weekend and messaged him and was just like, let's go make a game in 48 hours.
Hey, do you want to make a game
sleep.
this weekend? Sure. Well, it's going to be 48 hours. What? You mean like overnight? Yeah.
The reason we wanted to make the game at Game Jam was the community of like all these people pulling together doing it at the same time, the fact that it's such a big event, and just the pressure of having to try and get something done.
That's the beauty of it, really, is the pressure. In this little vacuum of time, these 48 hours, you have one idea, and that's just what you're doing. Like, there's no distractions, and everybody else is there doing it with you.
It's kind of just a place for us to experiment with our weird ideas. Like, you don't know if something's going to work out, and a good way to do it is just to make it happen is just to have like pressure to do it. So, if I have to have it done today by the end of the day, then I'm gonna work really hard, and then at the end of it we can like sort of reflect on it and see what we learned from it and see if it's a good idea.
As far as, since we're both programmers and we can really only write code one at a time, so we're doing kind of a extreme programming methodology, which would be one person's typing, the other person is both shouting direction and noticing typos and arguing most of the time.
The prompt for Global Game Jam was a sound prompt, so it was just a beating heart.
I started with an image of a heart, then I animated it like this.
After that, we worked on the logic to sort of pump the blood through the veins, which actually turned out to be fairly in-depth.
Different blood spurts that I animated.
There's 48 hours. You kind of start with nothing, and then you try to create the most you can. Basically, if you have any big problems, you're not going to be able to finish something. So a lot of the skill of doing a game jam, I think, is finding what problems that you're running into and then just diverting them. Instead of trying to fix it, you just move on to something else and you just kind of skip it. And then so you only just take the path of least resistance usually when you're doing it.
It turned out a lot better than I was expecting. I didn't really actually know what to expect from it. I mean, I knew that the visual effects would look cool. I wasn't really sure if it would be interesting or fun to play. It's a color picker platformer, so basically you have to get the blue gem and the levels will rise as they're sinking. If you don't get the gem, then you'll eventually sink into the lava. But if you get the red gem, then you die, like you just did there.
That was red?
Well, it was red originally, but the hues of the entire game are cycling over time. So it's kind of about your ability to recognize the relative color rather than the absolute color.
So what am I trying to do here?
So what you're trying to do is collect the blue gem.
Okay. I got the blue one, now what?
Now you get the blue one again.
I can do that, now what?
Just keep getting that same gem, but now it's a purple gem. And now it's a red gem. Or I guess, yeah, it gets a little confusing. It turns out that people aren't very good at identifying relative colors. Before this, we had made another game that was about typing words with scrambling on the inside. So it's just kind of like another experiment in like how your mind can be kind of tricked by what you see or what you're used to.
I learned that I can draw things other than robots and cityscapes, so that was fun to do, a good change of pace.
This game really hurts my mind. It's really hard.
Yeah, it is really hard. We were actually talking about making it harder, but after playing, just the challenge of identifying the correct gem is pretty tough.
I don't think we really knew how to do anything small until we did the Global Game Jam. And the first one we did, our idea was way too big. And I think we learned pretty quickly after that if you actually want to finish something, you really have to boil it down to one key idea. Like the game that we first tried to make when we met in high school is actually about 100 times bigger than anything we've actually finished since. But we were so naive, we didn't realize it at the time. And it's a lot more fun to just finish something and get it out there and have people play it than to like toil away for months or years.
Feeling good now.
Feeling really good.
We both got a fullish night's sleep. He got a little bit more.
I made
we
up
both
for
got a
it.
full night's sleep.
We got 2 full nights sleep between us.
Up till last night, we had slept 30 minutes each about. So
Yeah.
and it would just the productivity just nosebombed
Yeah, it was-
after that. Felt really good to just build the final version and just it's done.
It's done.
Don't
It's
have
done.
to look at it. Everyone can just play.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just interesting watching people play the game and see.
What
the
goes
crystal
wrong.
collecting became kind of not that interesting to everyone pretty quickly, but the wandering around our open world and eventually exiting the world was something that people seemed to enjoy doing for longer than I might have expected.
5 of us came as a team already, and then we added 2 other guys to the team who we met on the first day.
It's called YODO, for You Only Die Once, just a working title.
We decided to have the elements of storytelling. We wanted to have a crossover between digital and physical game, and we wanted it to have a kind of high pressure feel, so you're playing against a timer that's ticking down.
We thought it would be interesting to focus on the idea of a human life, the birth and death elements, or the influence of privilege on your life. Is the hand of cards that you're dealt literally at your birth what influences your whole life? That element is not exactly clear in it, but that's where we started from.
We just happened to start at the same time, and then we had just had 2 games, and so
we started on 1 game. Over time, it became 2 games because we each had different ideas about cool things we could do, but they weren't going to fit in the same game.
Yeah.
So
The way you play Privilege, Game of Economic Uncertainty, is you sort everything into 2 decks, the growth deck and the lost deck. You put these both face down on the table. And then every player rolls 2 of these dice to determine their starting money. Well, most games have this assumption everyone should start on the same playing field. Everyone should start fair.
I'm going to spend 2 and play Eviction. Each player loses their lowest level die.
Oh, man.
The very fact that this game doesn't start fair is right away a clue to people that there's something going on in this game, and people have mentioned to me, oh, this is kind of a bad game. No, it's because unfairness we see as not a good idea, but I designed the game to be unfair because that was part of the message.
And then I'm going to play bailout funds twice in a row to increase each of my dice by 2. So I have quite a bit of money at this point.
In this game, one of the major things that you find out very quickly is that it's kind of bleak. It's not like Monopoly where success means you actually succeeded. The goal of the success in this game is to fail the least.
+1 for each recession on the field.
Which is 2.
And then
I'm gonna be out.
and then an economic bubble, so everyone pays 2 more.
I'm defaulting on my student loans and
All right. And
declaring
you are
bankruptcy.
People have suggested adding mechanisms by which you could help other people or by which you could give yourself bigger bonuses to win. And that in turn shows me that the message I wanted to carry across, that this is a game about economic inequality, was really coming through. If people wanted to house rule that mechanism where the way to win was to lose the least away, by extension, it means that that was something they found uncomfortable. And as a game that is supposed to provoke conversation, having a game that is uncomfortable to play, that is actually not fun, is more useful than having a game that is actively fun to play.
The pressure of having to try and get it done, even if it's shit at the end, that doesn't matter because you've got to hit that deadline. Really useful, it was really good.
This is an opportunity to be like in a vacuum or like a time warp where you get to just make it happen. No excuses.
I don't know, it's just a good excuse to get together and try to get as much as you can done. I'd say it's like the equivalent of maybe like 3 weeks or a month of work you can get done in a weekend.
And I think replicating it on a larger basis, so like let's say you do it right in 48 hours, and that creates the opportunity to do it right for 2 months.
And just the social pressure of everyone working. It's like, oh, well, we have to keep working because there's people here working.
Yeah.